Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is our pro gamer Mike.
You're not Donkey Croc. You're Donkey Roo. I'm Donkey Roo.
and our retro aficionado Unoclay.
What up, dudes? Shrimp and white wine. Shrimp and white wine. You guys know that reference?
Not
Sure.
I was thinking you might not. No, I went to see Tim and Eric, the comedians, last night. It's one of their famous sketches, Shrimp and white wine. I was out on the town seeing two comedians stand on stage and blow your freaking mind because a significant part of the show was one of them being probed by the other one on stage with a camera up his nether parts and showing you what's inside the other comedian. I don't think it was real, but the fact that you have to wonder is part of how insane the show was.
It's part of the mystery.
Part of the mystery of Tim and Eric, indeed.
Gosh.
Tim and Eric Adult Swim comedians?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, I know this thing, and I was just so confused. And I was like, I think he's seeing an Adult Swim duo, but I didn't want to be like, yeah, they're that. All right.
That's where they got a big break. They had a show on Adult Swim years ago, and they kind of do other stuff. I think they might have a show coming back to Adult Swim. They talked about it during the show, but
okay.
They're a very specific type of humor. They're kind of super gross and super out there. Like they're real. They're like insane. Like, I mean, there's a lot of parts of the show where it's like so insane you can barely figure out the jokes. It's hard to describe. Check it out sometime. And then kill yourself because you'll be like, why did Clay tell me to watch this and put this disgusting in my brain?
All right, see now we know the truth, Clay.
I mean, part of the attraction for me is their master video editors. Like, part of their humor is the way they edit their videos is so intense. Like, sometimes it's watching like a psychedelic video. Like, it's hard to describe. You have to check out their show. It's all over. They used to be all over YouTube. I think they've scrubbed a little bit because I think Adult Swim wants to kind of keep them in their wheelhouse, but there's still plenty of it on there, probably, if you look around. So anyhow, what's up, dudes?
Funny how we start off the podcast with non-video game topics, but the pre-podcast is just video game stuff.
Are you sure we're not the Tim and Eric and Adult Swim podcast, man?
Maybe we are. Woo!
I could do that. Watch every episode, critique it, and every single comment, I'd be like, that was awesome.
Like, it was very good, Clay. This is one of their first episodes. You're like, I don't know.
Awesome. It'd be like watching SpongeBob reviews with you guys or something. It'd just be like, that was the best one ever. That was the best one ever.
Your comment would be awesome show, great job. That's Tim and Eric, right? Or is that a different show?
Yeah, that's their original show.
Okay.
They did a great job. Yeah.
See, I got a thing, right? Anyway.
Matt knew the whole time.
You're hip.
Gosh. Anyway, let's moving on. It's been a while. How have you guys been doing?
All right. Could be better. But I'm kicking ass in games, so I guess that's good.
Nice.
Cries self to sleep, but whatever. At least I have my video games.
The divorce is going okay, but I am playing video games. So it's great.
Well, that's always something.
Doing
anyway,
good. Yeah. Busy.
Yeah.
And very overwarm Philadelphia. It's a warm winter. It's really weird. Like, we haven't had any snow. It's totally depressing. Matt, can you send us some of that Canadian snow, please?
Gosh. We barely even have any. It keeps coming off and on.
It's
good for everybody. Nobody wants snow, dude.
No, I don't.
I love snow.
You only love snow because you don't have to live in it.
No, yeah. I love snow. Period.
All right, come live here for the 6 months that we have winter.
I wish I could. I really like snow. I genuinely don't mind shoveling it. I like throwing it at people in small spherical ball type shapes.
You have the idealized version of snow, the one that isn't packing snow or wet and weighs like incredibly heavy.
Love it.
Like shovels twice a day and some days. You have to deal with people who already suck at driving.
Oh, man.
Drive worse.
Yeah, I did forget about that.
Oh gosh.
The extra badness of driving.
Yeah.
Snow. That's true.
It's almost a surprise to people, even though it happens for months on end every year. I don't know. Just comes out of nowhere, supposedly. Anyway, all that aside, let's get on.
Sounds like Matt's been pending up that rage for a while now.
No, it's actually been like pretty good as far as how little snow there's been this year, thankfully, and it hasn't been that cold either. So good. Anyway, moving on to game stuff. This isn't snow related, but I've been playing.
Eric in the what?
Gosh, yeah. After like 6 months, I finally cracked open Borderlands 3 because there were like 4 or 5 other games that kept coming up. I'm like, well, I'll put this off, and I keep hearing they were fixing bugs and stuff, so I'm like, I don't want to start it and then like come back to it later because I don't really like playing that way. So I started a couple weeks ago or whatever. It seems pretty much like Borderlands 2. So if you like Borderlands 2, it's more of that. I don't know how many chapters there are. For reference, I'm in chapter 7, so I don't know how far that is. I'm guessing it's like 30% of the way through, maybe. That's just a blind guess. But yeah, it's pretty much Borderlands 2, but there's more skills in the skill tree. You have like 2 different action skills, or is it 3? Well, you have a main one, and then you have 2 that you can like augment, which is pretty neat. I chose the girl with like the mech, so you can change what weapon she has. It can be like a machine gun or a flamethrower or a rocket launcher. And you can have like 2 of the same or 2 different ones. They all have different abilities on them, so I'm having fun with that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really much more to say. If you like Borderlands, it's Borderlands.
It's more Borderlands.
I mean,
I've never played a Borderlands.
Yeah.
What genre of game is it? I haven't even really watched videos of it.
It's like a loot and shoot. So
RPG.
it's a first person shooter where like all of your loot besides different various currencies are guns. I don't think you'd like it because it has like a bunch of RPG stats, but basically you can like find different guns with different abilities. Some of them have elemental, so it's like explosive, so they can explode. Corrosive, which is basically poison. Freezing or ice, which freezes them, and then electricity, which stuns them too. But some of them will be like electricity works better on shielded enemies, and incendiary weapons work better on enemies that are just that don't have shields, like it just says flesh, and things like that. So there's different ways to use them. And then when you kill some enemies, they'll drop loot, which are just guns, most of which you'll probably just resell, and you'll be able to like compare stats to like the current one you're holding versus the one in front of you. And some of them will have like different abilities or different stuff on like attributes to them. So maybe one of them is a lower accuracy rate, but underneath it'll have like a 25% accuracy boost or other things like that. So it's
like a loot and you put it like for like first person shooter type kind of game.
Yeah.
Is it online or is it solo player?
You can do either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I've seen the logo around. I never watch videos of it because it's never come to a Nintendo platform. And you know what? That's how rad of a Nintendo fan I am. I don't even look at it.
I respect that.
I'm like a married man, married to Mario.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even look.
It is a lot of like management, so you probably wouldn't like it anyway, and that can get annoying, but I still like it. It's fun blowing things up.
Cool. You do have a soft spot for games where you
I was just gonna say
game equipment.
Yeah.
By the way, when is your favorite of all time game coming to Switch? Wasn't that scheduled to be coming this year at some point? What was the name of that game?
Red Faction? Gorilla?
Red
What are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah, that came out already.
Oh, it did? Red Faction came out for Switch already?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know
I
that.
think it was last year.
I thought you guys were baiting me with a wonderful 101 thing. Like, guys, you guys shut your whore mouths.
We're talking later, Mike. You better calm down there, buddy. We were talking about that in a little while.
Yo, Joey, right, I'll wait.
hold the rage. Let it simmer so it can explode later.
It hurts in my mouth. I can't let that rage simmer.
Push it down.
So, like Matt, as we knew from our Games of All Time tournament that we did last year, Matt has a big fondness for games where you blow crap up, as he put it. And yeah, so like, and Red Faction was like your defense of it. I always will remember that tournament. Like, but you get to blow up awesome stuff, bro. It was like, that's it.
Yeah,
that's what makes, you know, I get it. You know, like that's a reasonable defense of a video game. Did Red Faction Gorilla, was it only download, or is it came out physically? I think what I'm googling up, because I want to look at it sometime.
I think I had the cartridge. It had a box at least. I don't know if it came with a cartridge, because that's unfortunately the problem with some games on Switch these days. They're like, here, it's a box with a code in it. It's like, okay, you're useless. Give me a discount or just don't bother.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my list of games to consider buying sometime, because I always like experiencing what other people consider to be their favorite games, even if it's like, oh yeah, it does look like it has a physical edition, because I'm looking at Nintendo's website and I can see that if I drove to my local game dispensary or electronics store, they have it in stock. Buy it now and pick up later.
It doesn't have the download only at the top, so yeah, it'll be a cartridge. It shouldn't be that big anyway, because it's like over a decade old, even if it's remastered.
Yeah, totally. Cool. All right, so great.
Yeah, but
so you finally got a game in your belt this year. Finally did something with your life.
What?
It finally brought something good. All right, 2020 starting off great.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So
are we doing game? Are we doing what we played first this week?
Yeah, I guess so.
Seems like it.
Yeah, I already started. It's too late.
No, I think I already did it, so I guess we are. Well, he is the head honcho.
But no, I was just checking. I was like, Matt's just like, I just want to talk about, you know, like what I played. And no, now we're gonna do news. See you.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, but yeah, that's all I've really been playing this time. Mike, what have you been up to?
Damn, I have a lot. Okay.
What's the most notable thing?
Yeah. Keep it in bounds there, bro. You gotta talk about.
He's like ready to whip out his Christmas list that it's 3 miles long.
All right. So I don't remember the last time I was in the podcast, but so I finished Mega Man 1 through 11. All right.
Oh wow.
I think Mega Man 1, 2, and 3 are ass. They're so bad, dude. I don't get why anybody likes Mega Man 2. That game stinks.
You're insane.
Yeah, I like 4, 5, and 6 way better. 7, even though it's clunky, has the best story. 8 is actually good. I don't know why everyone shits on it just because it had quote bad dub. I was like, who cares? Like, you could just play it in Japanese. I think 9's overrated because it's more like 1 and 3. But I like 10 more because you get Proto Man and Base, and it's more like 4 through 6. And 11 stinks. Let's see.
Ouch. I've got some strong opinions against those.
That's a spoiler for my next video coming out.
Oh man.
So then I finally played.
Are we just gonna let him just walk by all of that?
I know, Matt. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, I mean, like, Mega Man 2 stinks. Like, we're already like heads are on going. Our 25 listeners or less are banging their heads on their desk. Like, Mike.
Mega Man 2 is so overrated, dude. Like, oh boy, guess what? Just because the only reason why people like Mega Man 2 is because Mega Man 1 is so bad. Okay,
See,
and it's like,
I mean, I will give you the benefit of the doubt that the first one isn't as great. So obviously 2 is going to look better by comparison.
So
but I don't
like
think it's
2 because the first one's not great.
But I don't. But I mean, like as you said, there's 11 games in the classic series. I still think 2 is. I mean, obviously you've played it more recently because you played all the games recently, but I still think 2 is good on its own.
I just don't think 2's that good. Like 4, 5, and 6 add so much more to it. Like 3 is like cleaner. 2's got it's got really good music though. Like 2's definitely got some great tunes.
I mean, right
at least we agree on there.
Finally, some truth. I mean, the thing is, like, I respect where you're coming from, but the thing is, for those of us that were living it, like, in the real time, like, back then, the thing that's strange and the reason 4, 5, and 6 typically don't get the press, and, like, you're sort of seeing it in a different light now that you're kind of going through them all in a row in a modern context, is that I agree. Most people agree that 1 isn't as good as 2. I like 1 the best because I don't know. I like it's a little harder, but anyway, it's leave it aside. I can accept that 2 and 3 are more popular, but by the time they got to 4, 5, and 6, a lot of people were jumping ship from the series because even if you like them better, you got to admit there's not that much new. It's kind of like the formula was so established. They just made 6 iterations on NES. Tell me of a series that has more entries on NES. Like I'm not sure if there is a series that has more numbered like episodes on one console than Mega Man 1 through 6 like that. And then it's like a lot. That's why they're more valuable too in a collector's sense, because a lot of people didn't buy them because it was like, you got your fill by the time you get to 3, and you're like, okay. And now it's just like the same thing. And the bosses were getting more outlandish, where they were having to really stretch their imagination to think of interesting bosses.
Yeah, it was like Centaur Man and all that stuff. I don't know what Arrow or Centaur Man. I was like, but like in the early ones, it's like, I think water beats this fire guy. I get it. But I don't know. I just the concept of rush sliding and rush jet, and I just thought all that is done way better in like all the later games, and they were able to like make puzzles through it. So. I don't know. Like again, I could be looking at it more modern kind of style. I'm not saying 6 is like amazing. Like I still have 2 like within like 4 and 5's like area, but I'm not gonna be like I would rather play 4 or 5. Like 7, I hated in the beginning, but like the ending is so good that it makes the game very notable. Like the ending is really really good. Something you would not expect in a Mega Man game.
It's not actually Dr. Wily in a disguise.
No, that's Mega Man 2, the Resident Sleeper. Okay, but...
Well, didn't they do that in like 4 or 5? Yeah, the Dr. Cossack 6, or whatever.
In disguise. Yeah, because Mega Man 5 is the fake Proto Man. And Mega Man 4 is when he has the other scientists do his work for him.
Gotcha.
Because he kidnapped his daughter. Okay, so then I played Sonic in the Secret Ring, Sonic in the Black Knight, and Sonic Colors, aka every Sonic game on the Wii. So, Secret Rings is terrible. That game sucks so bad. Like, holy shit.
It was so weird.
So bad, dude. It's like it's like a tech demo of levels and just Sonic with some cutscenes.
It was fun to use the Wii remote in weird ways, and that was definitely interesting. At the very least, the mini game, what is it? Pull on It Carpet, is hysterical, and that was like one of the most fun times the most fun I had with the game, I would say, with like friends, because it was just so stupid, just yanking on the Wii remote, trying to trip someone up on the carpet.
So it's funny. I actually originally tried to play it non-Wii remote. So I was like, I'm gonna emulate this, and I'm gonna emulate using a Wii mode instead. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that was terrible and did not work at all. So then I would just play it during like commercials, and I was like, okay, switch, because every level felt like maximum a minute and a half. Doesn't matter. I really hated that game, and I just never wanted to play it again. Sonic in the Black Knight really wasn't that bad. I kind of enjoyed it. However, the secret to that game is you don't really want to kill anybody, except for the missions you want to kill people. So all I would ever do is jump over every enemy in the game. And then if you get Knuckles makes the game so easy. All you can do is glide through everybody. And I'm like, this is the easiest thing of all time. But the game's like 3 hours long. Let's see. Sonic Colors is good. It's a good game. It might be a bit overrated. I actually like Unleashed, and obviously everyone likes Generations, but I like Unleashed more than I like Sonic Colors. But Sonic Colors did save Sonic, so... I started playing Sonic Adventure 1 with some mods to make it the best version of that. I'm trying to remember what other games. I feel like I played under 100,000. Give me a second. Using Brain. I just got this game, Kunai, that just came out 4 days ago. That came out February 6th. Kunai, some Metroidvania indie game. It came out for Switch, PC, and I guess everywhere. I just beat it today. It was like, I don't know, it's an indie game, so it takes, I blink and the game's over. But the game was really cool. Like, dude, I don't really like Metroidvania games that much, so I only like Metroid games in the Metroidvania category, which is, I guess, not ironic or kind of ironic, but yeah, I hate most of those categories. This game's done really well. It's kind of cool. It's like you're like a robot with a samurai blade. It's got a Game Boy aesthetic to it. It's awesome if you're looking for.
You lost me in your commentary about Castlevania hatred. Like which game are you talking about?
Oh, I hate all Castlevania.
No,
I'm talking about Kunai. Kunai.
I linked it.
All right, so Metroidvania game. The combat really flows well, and obviously it's short. It's an indie game. I would recommend it if you're looking for something, to not go like something deep but not too long. Let's see. Using brain, must figure out what else I played. I feel like I played like 3 other games, but I can't remember them right now.
So before you talk about another one, it seems like this game Kunai just like came out of nowhere because I've only heard about it in the last couple of days.
It just came out like the 6th.
Yeah, but I mean, have you heard of it before this? Yeah, it just seems like they're like, hey, it launched and now people are talking about it for whatever reason.
Yeah, I got a key for it, like a key on Steam for it. They're like, hey, play the game, and I had to just stream it for an hour, and I was like, yo, this seems actually pretty dope. And I streamed for like 2 hours, and then I was like, I'm just gonna beat it today. So unfortunately, it took me, like 4 hours IRL, 5 hours overall to beat it IRL. But I don't think anybody's gonna have that time in their lives to do that. So, the new Mario, well, it ended as of this podcast and tomorrow, but the new Mario Maker Ninja Speedrun came out. Got another top 1,000 with that, so pog that. I love those Ninja Speedruns. They're the best thing Nintendo added on Mario Maker 2. Bailiff came out, but no, we already talked about Bleh. Oh, Matt, you got cut off, that's why.
What was I didn't get the new Super Mario Maker, so what is it? They announced like challenges, sort of like, and it's it's a pre-made level by the pros or something.
No, it's more of Nintendo just makes a level and it's like, here's a Ninja speed run, and everyone do their best, and as you do, you get your time. It gets
there's like a leaderboard.
Yeah, you get, and when you finish the leaderboard, you unlock more clothes, and then if you're really good, you get 3 stars around your character for like 2 weeks. So it's pretty awesome. Cool. Yeah, and if you're not as good, you get 2, and if you stink, you get 1 or you get none. Let's see. I can't remember anything else. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but that's all. I'm playing this game called Namco X Capcom, which is the prequel to Project Project X Zone on 3DS. So that's what I started playing it. An English patch came out. It took like 6 years for it to come out. This game came out in 2005. It's a PS2 exclusive, and I love Project Cross Zone on 3DS. So this is a game I was kind of like always like, oh, I'm never gonna get to play it, but now I am. So.
The games you love so much, you forgot about them.
It's like the characters in it are all those kind of characters. Like you got Klonoa or whatever. Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, he existed back in 2005. So it's like stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's it. I got a mod working for Super Luigi Odyssey, but I haven't really played it yet, so I can't say I played it. So there you go.
Mike, never one to not play a game, Matt. Like,
yeah, really.
That's like a game.
Yeah.
That's like I played the game.
I think he played more games in this podcast or in this one segment than I will in the next like several months.
I don't count Mega Man 1 through 11. Those games are like 3 hours, like max. I go to bed, I beat like 5 bosses, I fall asleep, and I'm like, okay, cool.
I don't know. Tons of the time, honestly, I'm like blown away. It's always like, yeah. Anyway.
That's right. Wow. Like, you go out to shows, and I'm like, oh, let me waste my weekend, and I do this, and I'm like, oh man, what happened by Saturday? That's exactly I forgot. That's it. Did I tell you guys I beat this game called Super Mario 64 World Land or no?
I know what you're talking about. I saw I did download it onto my flash card, the one where they remade the Game Boy Super Mario Brothers into like the style of Super Mario World. Is that the one you're talking about?
No. Mine is it's so they this guy called Kaze Emunar, very very creative, very I don't know, creative creator. I don't know what to say. Very talented creator. He does Super Mario 64 ROM hacks. So with that, he's done he's done Super Mario 64 Sunshine. So like he demade Sunshine with the Super Mario 64 engine. The whole game like that. But he also does his own custom and creates his own thing. So he made a Super Mario 64 Land based off the 3D World and 3D Land kind of things. And so in that game, like if you ground pound, you get like the extra height on the jump, you get a little spin kind of thing. And but remember, you're with Super Mario 64. You're that Mario, it's that graphics and that engine as well. You know, so everything's the same as that, like gravity, everything. So I was able to, I got through that. It was really cool. In the 7th world, I had to fight Wario, and he custom made this Wario. He used the Mario Party 1 sprite, and it had its own whole battle and its own moves and all that. It was really cool. You know,
nice.
So yeah, I just thought it was. I know a lot of us don't really do ROM hack stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna do it for the first time ever, and I finally got to. I mean, and it was a good experience. Like, you know, not everything is always perfect. Or it's like, oh well, you know, it's not Nintendo making the game; it's the guy using Nintendo's assets and, you know, creating them himself. But I think it was a cool foray to go into. Like, if I would go into it more, but at the same time, I got too much of a backlog. I ain't got time for that shit.
Tell me about it.
You have a backlog with how quick you're finishing these games? You're like, I sneezed and finished 3 games.
I was like, I finished 5 games, and then I go to my backlog and I write 6 more games on there, and I'm like, shit. Right? That's like, those 5 games were useless. My backlog's bigger than when I finished these games. But nah, my backlog is kind of small. The problem is it's also big because 5 of them are RPGs. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So. It's the only way I can explain that. If you don't express my that you understand, Clay, you wouldn't. Like it's just like, oh, dude, look, like I'm looking at here's my Switch backlog. I'm gonna just give it to you guys. It's Tokyo Mirage FE Encore, right? Then it's Casual Yoshi Sometimes, Digimon Cyber Sleuth Doubtful Wiki Read It, Astral Chain Finish ? DQ11, and Damon Ex Machina Doubtful. Okay, like that's just the Switch backlog, and I have it all written down.
Oh my gosh!
One day.
Awesome, Matt.
My boys are on there, Clay. I'll tell you them later. All right, well, the floor is yours, my good man, and thank you guys for listening to me ramble for 4 minutes about every game ever.
Worth it. All right, okay. What have you been playing these last few weeks?
I'll keep it to 2. I've been playing a bunch of games too. It is winter, or pretend winter here with no snow, as we covered at the top of the Weather and Tim and Eric podcast. But yeah, it's been rather warm here, alarmingly. But it's I've been doing the winter kind of gaming thing. The notable things, I guess, I'd comment on for the listeners this week. I'll cover the one I'm not so enthused by, but I've been messing around with. I got a Goat Simulator on a discount download for the Switch a few weeks ago.
Nice.
It's been out for a few years. It's a sandbox game. It's kind of a lol game, not like a real game. It's fun. I think I'd have a lot more fun messing around with it with someone like my brother, who doesn't seriously play video games, but likes to like mess around and just try to break them a lot of times, because that's all it is. It's like if you buy the version that's on Switch, it's like the fully loaded version. They call it the GOTY, the GOTY. So it's pretty. But it's got like mods installed, almost like if you were playing like Skyrim on a computer with like the mod stuff downloaded, so you can like completely break the game as soon as you start playing it. Like you can just like, oh, what should I do here? I should give my goat a jetpack and make him as big as a building, and I should make him sound like a dragon, and then you just blow up stuff and smash stuff, and it's fun. It's got the whole thing is really like there's no goal almost except to like just get achievements. Like, you know, there's like mysteries that you have to figure out how to do it. It'll give you a little clue, but you don't know what it is. It's like become king of all goats, and you're like, I don't know how to do that. You know, so you gotta like wander around the world and figure out like a specific thing to do to get that achievement. That's kind of the draw. And then there's a few other game modes that are like, I haven't messed around with them too much. There's like an RPG mode, and there's like zombie mode where you're like causing all these humans to become undead and stuff like that, and then you run around. But still, the core gameplay is still the brokey ragdoll, like broken physics kind of game where you're just like messing around. It is totally funny, and if you can get it for cheap, and that sounds like something you'd like, then get it. You know, it is funny. Less funny was when I got my goat. I learned how to make him roar like a dragon, and my wife was asleep on the couch, and I'm like smashing up buildings and already pretty loud and like exploding crap all over. and then I hit the button to make the dragon roar. Now that I've got dragon mod installed on my goat, and it's loud enough to like split your speakers. It's like, and
Oh my gosh.
wakes up like, this sucks, and like just leaves the room. Just like gets up, storms out of the room, like, I'm just being a goat who thinks he's a dragon. I'm sorry. You know? But I got my money's worth right there. That was kind of funny, less funny to her. You know. But yeah, it's a famous game. I know, like, I remember seeing it a few years ago when AVGN and Mike streamed it. I think that's how I first ever saw it. So it's kind of that kind of game. It's great for streamers. It's great for lols. It's not much of a game. It's like silly.
Clay, have you ever thought about playing Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes with your brother?
I've played it. I love it. I love that game. That's awesome.
Dude, amazing, right? Like, all right. I didn't know because you said your brother's not much of a player, and I remember when I played Goat Simulator, that was around that time I was playing like those random PC games. So.
Sure. That's why you connected it. I got you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All the same kind of game, but yeah, Everybody Keep Talking is a little too hard for someone like my brother. Not that he's like a genius, but he's not like a hard gamer. Like, so I could see him like being like, this is a little too much. Like, you know, it's like those puzzles are hard, you know, as we all.
Yeah.
The other game that I've been playing is, you know, one of the all-time classics of gaming, in spite of Mike not liking Castlevania games much. I happen to know he's played it, Symphony of the Night.
That's the only Castlevania I do like.
Yeah, it's good. It's now I have a question, and any listeners that have never played it, it is a mad old game, and it's super famous. I'm playing the PS2 version. Mike enlightened me. I didn't know there was a GBA version, but I would have wanted to play it on the PlayStation version anyway, because the graphics.
I didn't even know I thought it was a GBA exclusive.
Yeah, no, it was actually PlayStation 1. In fact, it officially is the first PlayStation 1 game I've ever played. Like, I only ever had a PlayStation 2 and never went backwards. And so technically, it's the first PS1 game I've ever played extensively, other than, like, I think I played, like, Heavy Metal or whatever that smash-up game is.
Wait, I have a random question for you. This is your first PS1 game. Are you ever going to play Spyro and Crash because it's on the Switch?
I don't think I'm really super interested. Like, those kind of games aren't, like, calling to me with such a big backlog. It's not like out of some hate. I know you guys are big Spyro fans. Who knows? You know, maybe someday I'd get to a Spyro game.
It's just, you know, they are quote unquote, you know, legends in their own right for the 90s and all that. So.
I would have never looked at Spyro except for you guys always over the years giving it props, like that you actually like it, because the branding makes it look like a kiddie game, and that's why I never ever played it. Like, it always just looked like, oh yeah, Purple Dragons for kids, you know, something. And you guys.
That's fair. That's why I was wondering. It was more about for Crash, because I mean.
Yeah, I would say Crash is your better bet.
Yeah. I tried Crash maybe someday. I've just heard it has such camera problems for like that kind of game that like it can be frustrating to play it in a modern context where it's like.
That's fair. I mean, I don't like one anyway, and that's probably the one they're talking about. You could probably like 2 or 3 better, but yeah, one is isometric 2.5, mainly behind you kind of thing.
Yeah,
but all right, but not to cut you off because about your play. I was just very curious.
I'm always curious about all games. Maybe someday I'll get to those. They're not. I wouldn't say they're top of the list right now. I got my backlog is insane as like everyone else's.
Yeah. Well, we know you got Odyssey. I
Yeah.
Every show. I'm not going to get past this until I play it.
Dude, I'm about to play Super Luigi Odyssey and beat it before you even lick your cartridge, man.
Oh my gosh.
No, but so I guess I have a question for Mike. Matt, did you ever play Symphony of the Night, Castlevania?
No. All I know is that it has the one quote from Dracula that is like the best Castlevania quote.
Yeah, really bad voice acting. I mean, the voice acting, the GBA probably didn't have voices, but the voice acting on the PS1 is among the most like laugh-inducing voice acting you've ever heard in a video game. It is worth playing it. It is an amazing game. A lot of people regard it as the best Castlevania game. It's always mentioned in the top like 3 or 4. I've played lots and lots of Castlevania games. I like them almost all. Big fan of the series, although I don't ever bother to pay attention to the story because it's way too insane. Like, it's just nonsense. Like, it's just like, hey, you got to kill Dracula. Okay, cool. Like,
no, Clay. By the way, I mixed it up. I played Circle of the Moon, and I knew of Symphony of the Night because I was addicted to Circle of the Moon on the GBA. That's
okay.
But yeah. This is a game I have on my PSP because hacking, etc. back in the day. But all right, go on.
Sure, no way. Oh, so you did not play Symphony?
No, I played Circle of the Moon. I just looked it up because I was like, I don't remember it being called this, and then I looked it up. I was like, all right.
I love their naming convention because like they went with like a consistent naming convention across the series after a certain point where they all have like, kind of thematic subtitle, but it makes it hard to keep them apart in your head. Like it's like they all have.
Compared to the first two, it's like, oh, here's 1 and 2, and then the rest are like here and subtitles.
Castlevania, thing of the thing.
Thing of the thing, exactly. It's always like, and it's got a cool theme. I like that consistency. It is neat, but yeah, after you play like 4, 5, 6 of them, you're like they all blend together in your head. Like if you're not like some hardcore fanboy that actually bothers to follow the plot, like where it's like I can't keep this straight in my head. I don't care. Because I'm here for the gameplay, not for the story anyway. I know the main thing is kill Dracula. Okay, I'm cool with that. That's a good story for me. So like, but yeah, so that would answer the question I was going to ask because so anyone who hasn't played it but plans on playing it, maybe skip forward like 1 minute, like to avoid like kind of some integral spoilers. There's some stuff everybody knows about this game, and then there's stuff I had to Google to figure out what was going on, and I'm gonna start talking spoilers now. So I finished it, but I was like, that was really short and not impactful. And I was like, what's up with that? And I'm looking at the map and like, it's got your in-game map that you can pull up and see like if there's any place you haven't explored, like, cause you can see a doorway, like a Metroid type map that you can see a doorway that you didn't open or something. And I wasn't sure. I was like, I feel like I got everything. Like, I don't get it. Like that sure didn't feel like an ending. It felt way too easy. The final boss. All right. And I only played maybe 10 hours and I'm like, I saw the credits roll and I'm like, this feels like there's something missing here. So let me go on Game Facts here and like read up on like this. And instantly I'm like, wow, there's a lot to this game I don't know about. And it's definitely I played the DS Castlevanias and several, and the classic ones and stuff like this. This one by far, maybe that's why Symphony gets such a big rep, is because it's got a deep combat system. It's got like all kinds of hidden secrets like that you don't even need to find to finish the game, like magic spells that you do kind of like Street Fighter moves. You literally are like inputting like Street Fighter type moves to do spells, which you don't even need to discover. But most importantly, it's got like 4 different endings and they're a little opaque. And in a modern game design sense, I was like, wow, if I had to look at Game Facts, I might have thought I finished this game because I saw the credits roll and it was like an ending. It just didn't feel like that good up to the level of like a game of all time kind of ending. And it turns out I have more than half the game to finish. And I saw the credit roll only at the halfway point of the game. And so
that's weird.
Yeah. And the big thing, this is like for you too. So when you guys aren't as worried about spoilers as a lot of people. And this game is like seriously like incredibly old at this point. Like the big reveal is that like you have to go through the whole castle. And the thing that made the design and make it such a legendary game is that the whole castle flips upside down, which you might have heard. It's super famous gaming logic. And the game restarts once you do the proper kill conditions for the final boss, and the whole map is inverted, and it's the same map you were in, only now it's upside down, and they designed it so that you wouldn't notice it, and now you have to go through it backwards and upside down, and it's really amazing. It's like the most amazing design. You realize it as soon as it happens. You're like, holy crap. And it just happened to me last night. I went back to the final boss knowing what I knew now with a new item, and you have to wear a certain item when you're fighting the final boss. And you can figure that out if you're playing the game. I just hadn't found that item, so I didn't even know that I needed to finish the final boss wearing a specific item. Then when you finish the boss that way, then the whole game continues for another, like, it doubles the size of the game, basically. So I posted to you guys in the chat. It also, once you play through this one, or as far as I'm about halfway through it now, you totally see why Richter was the second pick. You completely see it right away. It's like it was probably Alucard or Richter was the discussion for Smash. And as I've said to you guys in the chat, like a couple times, like I would not even be shocked if they feel any reason. We know now, since Sakurai came out with his comments about like it's a Nintendo business decision, it's really not totally my decision at all. Like, stop yelling about Fire Emblem. I get it. Like, if Nintendo brass have any reason to want to put more Castlevania into Smash in the next round here, like, Alucard is the pick. There's no other pick. It's him, because this game, they put Richter in because of this game and another game he appears in, because he's kind of the big baddie in this game, because he's like a possessed Belmont. He's like been possessed by Dracula.
Huh.
And so you're fighting a Belmont as Dracula. Like, they flipped the script in this Castlevania. You're fighting as Alucard Dracula's son, you're fighting a Belmont, and so they inverted the plot for this game, and then like
It's pretty cool.
And Richter, yeah, it is. It's awesome. It's totally cool. That's why it's a legendary game, you know. And I think
it's not as good as the GBA Castlevania.
All I know is that Alucard walks backward or has a backwards dash.
Yeah,
that's
pretty
cool.
Video ever because like you played a lot. That's how you can move so much faster. That now I do that all the time. You just dash the whole time, only walking backwards. It's hilarious. It's because they didn't bother to give you a mechanism to speed up your run ever, as far as I can discover in the game so far. Like it's just like you always walk at this kind of annoyingly slow pace, and it's a complete Castlevania game where you're going back and forth across this huge castle. Even with warp zones, it gets painfully slow. That you're like, ugh, I got to cross the castle again, like to get it back over there and get this item that I can get now because I got this weapon that opens that gate, yada yada, you know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Mike, to each their own on what Castlevania is best. But the thing that I believe it is true is that all those GBAs and all the DS ones are based on Symphony of the Night's battle system. Like
that's what I did. I've heard that though. That's like that's why I knew of this game that you were talking about. I was like, why do I know this? And I was like, yeah. But still, nothing will beat the GBA games.
Like
the best ones.
When you like is like sort of the same as saying you like Symphony because like that's when they really changed the whole design of Castlevania, is my understanding. It's like I never played Bloodlines, the one right before it, because I think it's a pretty rare Genesis card. But I don't think this battle system, the way that it controls with like the sub weapons and that like it gets the light RPG elements of like equipping your character and like hundreds and hundreds of different enemies with like all their own traits and character classes and stuff that you're fighting. You know, I think it was like, because I think this one, you know, Symphony was just like this complete, like almost reimagining of the way the game was going to work from there on out. And I really hope that freaking Konami gets their head back in the game someday, because even though that director left and is now making he made that standalone game that's like a knockoff Castlevania version. It's like, I don't know. I wish they would make another one, because it's like those DS ones I loved. I never played the GBA ones, but I loved the DS ones that were in the same vein. Get it? Vein.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I'd say play Symphony if you ever get a chance. If you have a hankering at all for a Castlevania game, it's either like you either have your choice of play the old NES style that are in the NES collection you can get. That's a really good deal on Switch that has like lots of Castlevania games in one pack, or you can get Symphony in some form and play it, because it's got great music. It's, you know, it's got a cool plot. It's got hilarious voice acting. I mean, it is. You gotta hear it. There's no way around it. It's you can tell it's like actors reading these lines for these cartoonish characters they've never heard of. They haven't seen any video, and they're just like, okay, read this line, and he's like, what? You my father? I will kill you. And you're just
it's like Resident Evil level of voice acting.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You almost turned me into a Jill sandwich.
It's as bad or worse as any RE you've ever heard. It's truly magnificently bad, because it feels like there's no connection when the characters even talk to each other. It sounds like they weren't in the same room or even knowing what the other person said to them. It's like they're just reading their line and then they just press play on the other person's line. You know, it's PS1. It's a long time ago. That stuff wasn't very sophisticated. So yeah, there's a lot of.
Dude, just think of Mega Man X4 and Mega Man 8, dude. That'll
yeah.
You can look at those cuts.
What am I fighting for? I don't even think I played that game, but I do know the quote.
Yeah, it's just so bad.
Gosh.
But you know, that's the 90s gaming, bro.
Yeah. Everybody knows that it's a great Castlevania. Everyone's heard about it, but I can report. Like I'm not sure what my wife paid for it. She got me for Christmas. I said, I don't care about the box. Just give me a disc for a PS1. So I think you can, if you go and try and get certain versions of it, I've seen it at trade cons. Like I think there's certain editions that go for pretty high, like closing in on 100 for a PS1 disc. Don't do that. I'm pretty sure you can like get a cheaper version on eBay for like the loose disc or something like that to play it if you're ever hankering. But a hot tip, and then we'll move on. I didn't know that if you try to play a PS1 game, I think I mentioned this on a former podcast, but if you want to play a PS1 game on a PS2, here's some news from like, I don't know, 20 years ago. You need I'm the retro guy. You need a PS1 memory card for your PS2. It won't save PS1 files on the PS2 memory card. So I had to go to eBay and get a knockoff memory card for it just to play this game, which was like $5. But it's a big disappointment when you realize that's that's the case. I thought they were backwards compatible in all features, but that turns out not to be the case. So,
Wow, I had to buy a whole 8 megabytes of memory.
yeah, I did. I could find a way to hack my way around that. I either play through a 20-hour game all in one sitting without saving, or I never die, or because it sends you back to the home menu when you die. You don't like, or yeah, get yourself a memory card for your PS2 or whatever you're playing it on. So it was good.
I actually never knew that, dude. So it's good fact.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. It could be for the download on PS3, PS4. I have no idea. I am not the guy to ask for that. So you'll have to look into that if you're trying to play it on a modern system. It very well likely may have been released for one of those consoles, and I wouldn't know it. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the news from games that are old.
So your retro recap.
Retro recap this week. Yeah, totally. Simlator by anybody's standards. So yeah, so there you go.
All right. So I think we'll get on to some news. And since Mike has been eagerly awaiting, we'll get to the, I guess, most interesting piece of the week. So Platinum Games.
I'm gonna adjust myself in this pillow.
Gosh. So Platinum Games earlier last week or whenever it was this point teased that they're going to bring out like 4 games for 2020, and crap, I forget some of them that were assumed. Nope, I was thinking of games and I was like, wait, wrong studio. I forget. I wish I had the list in front of me because other people, whatever. One of them I'm sure is Bayonetta 3 at the very least. Anyway, some of the, like most of them were already announced, or that's what people assume. Anyway, I'm very terrible up at this. One of them that was announced was The Wonderful 101, which is getting remastered for Switch and PS4. It's they put it up on Kickstarter because obviously it didn't sell well at the beginning, so they want to make sure it actually gets something. And let me check what their original goal was. It's weird because I think it was like 50 grand because, sorry, mine says Canadian, so I have to like backtrack it. But okay, yeah. Just because it's like 65, I'm pretty sure it's 50.
And I think it got like 65 and like immediately, or like 75 immediately.
Yeah, it got, within its first day, it hit $1 million. So that's well over. And right now it's sitting at like 1.5.
That's fake million. It's Monopoly million. Who's paying $1 million for Wonderful 101? Like, who's the more? Yeah, that's more money than it probably made on the Wii U. Okay, like by tenfold. I don't get it. What's the appeal of this game, Matt? Tell me.
Okay, so as far as the you think $1 million is a lot, I don't think it is, because if you just doing some basic math, and obviously they don't get the whole $60 out of when you sell a game for $60, but let's assume they did, even though that's not right. That's only 16,000 copies, so that's still not a lot. $1 million still is not a lot.
Okay,
obviously it is in terms of what their in terms of what like their goal was. It is in terms of like how many units that means. Probably not.
I'm saying in terms of they sold. You're saying Wonderful 101 only sold 16,000 copies.
No, I'm saying you were saying like, oh man, how did it make $1 million? Well, $1 million is really only like 16 to 30,000 copies. Well, so it's not really a whole lot if you put it in that perspective.
I was on it in the fact that it probably sold 22 copies overall. So
oh like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, and if people want to pay $1 million for it, I was like, bro, you could have just bought. You could have helped out the 22 people who owned this business. Okay, that was my joke, but it was lost in translation. But all right. Thank you, Matt, for the real numbers of Wonderful 101.
So Matt, where were you going with all that? You were giving us some numbers, and then you're saying that Platinum launches Kickstarter, and did you have more to add?
No, so it's successfully funded. It reached its goal of 50,000. It's now at 1.5 million. They're going to add a couple other things, a time attack mode. I forget who Luca is, but they're going to give him like a 2D mission.
Right.
Not very much.
He's one of the last characters you get. Like,
okay.
has powers too. Yeah.
Gotcha. I remember hearing the name, but maybe I'm just mixing it up with Bayonetta because they also have a Luca there.
Oh yeah,
or Luke or something like that.
Luca, he's the little black kid that has the bomb power at the end. Like,
oh, okay.
Do you remember? I think that's Luca, if I remember correctly. Like, he's one of the last ones you unlock, if not the last. Like, super whatever you call it. You know, like one of the main, the wonderful ones or whatever they call them for the original, like the ones that have the superpowers that you control or whatever. Yeah, I think that. So they're adding like a submission for him, like a standalone game or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Cool. So, Matt, you played it, right? You had 101, right?
Oh, I played it. Yeah.
And Mike played it.
Well, so we all played it.
About an hour. So what I was gonna say before when you guys said save it for the podcast was I was recalling this game with Joey because I was like, wow, they made garbage, and he's like, huh. He's like, I remember when you played this game, and he goes, here's a full recap. So I beat level 1. And then level 2 required me to draw a circle. And every time I drew that circle, it did not count. And he goes, and then you took it out, threw the game case on the floor, and went to go return it. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, it's because the game made you feel bad. Maybe the game isn't trash, but you only gave it an hour and a half. And I was like, yeah, I drew that circle. This game sucks. Okay?
So, are you secretly Squidward with like the bear where you can't draw the circle around him? And you just keep, and the game is the metaphor is you're Squidward and the bear is the game, and you're trying to draw a circle and just keep getting killed.
Yeah, okay, I drew that circle perfectly. First, I drew a perfect face, right? Then I erased the details around this. Then I drew that, but it didn't get it. I was like, what the hell, man? So after that, I threw it, and I became the marble. All right, so you might get that reference in the early SpongeBob.
Well, I mean, before we go too far, I mean, like, for people who haven't played it, like, ever, what Mike is referring to is that, so Wonderful 101 is, like, kind of an action game that looks a little bit like Pikmin in its presentation by Platinum, which means it's got crazy graphics and crazy action, but that's
a lie. That was a definite biased lie. Okay, that's a Platinum debate. Don't believe that anybody. Go on.
That's what they advertise it to have anyway. But like and it came out on Wii U. It did not sell well because Wii U had problems in that department of success. And
no. That is not the reason why I didn't sell well.
All right. Let him go.
Yeah, for the listeners, like, so. So for the context, and it had the interface, the clever gimmicky interface, which I will concede was challenging at points. I don't know if Matt had the same experience, but it could be challenging. Was that you drew on the gamepad different symbols to activate powers in the game, and so it could be challenging. I will concede as a fan of the game that, like, you'd be in a fight and you need to draw somewhat of a complex symbol on your screen. You might have to draw a circle with an X in it, for example, or you might have to draw a line with 2 crosses on it or something, some kind of simple symbol, but you have to do it in the heat of the moment with your stylus or your finger if you're that good, which was better to use a stylus in my opinion, and then get your hands back on the joysticks and continue fighting. It had that kind of Kid Icarus on the DS kind of thing going on, like where you're like juggling the controller a little bit to get it to work correctly, which definitely is a make it or break it, I think, for some people, like whether they would have liked the game. I do concede that. But anyway, it's a pretty high action game. You can watch tons of videos that I'm sure on the internet if you want to get more of a picture. But that's what the game is. And that's why I think, for context for the Kickstarter, of why it was brought to Kickstarter at all, because a lot of people didn't own a Wii U at all, so never even played this game. I think making it an obvious candidate in some ways anyway for porting over to this console generation. But yeah. Anyway, I wanted to make sure people know what it is that we're talking about, or why maybe Mike hated it or not.
Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly why I hate it. Oh, look at this fun action game. Oh, wait, draw to do your attacks. Bitch, I ain't got time for that shit. It's the stupidest concept I've ever seen in my life.
I'll be honest. I don't think I tried drawing for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then I just used the right stick instead.
Okay. I can't draw in any facet of life, right? I've given up all art skills ever. So now, you know how see, I may be good at games, but I'm the opposite in art. And when games require that, and they don't make suitable, suitable or alternative options for a Neanderthal like myself, the game sucks. And that's why I hate it. I was like, this concept is it's just very dumb. Like the idea of it is not. It plays itself off like it's an action game, but I have to stop and do this, and it's not. Like I don't want to stop if I'm playing a quote unquote action game, etc., etc. Like it just seems like the complete opposite of what the game should be.
I mean, like in fairness, Mike, you've never, correct me if I'm wrong, you're not a big fan of Platinum in general, right? Like you don't generally.
No, I hate Platinum. Yeah.
Right. I mean that should be understood. I mean, it's not really your thing. It's like me critiquing a Pokemon game and being like, you know what sucked about it? It had all these little monsters and this RPG shit. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying Astral Chain, and like, it's my favorite Platinum game, but I'm like, I played for a little bit, and I'm like, I'm kind of done with it. My favorite parts are not the fighting parts. I kind of like the investigation. Matt,
right.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, I got you.
Yeah.
Got you. So Matt, you didn't have a super experience with 101 either.
I forget. I got it for free somehow through like some Nintendo program. It might have been Club Nintendo or something where they're like, buy one game and you get another free or some crap like that. I think. Anyway, yeah, it was through something like that, and I actually re-downloaded it just in case the Wii U shop decided to die.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't remember how many hours I put into it. I put in a couple hours at least, but eventually I like stopped. I either got stuck at a part because it was too annoying and just didn't go back to it, or I think that was the exact reason why. I think I just got to a part that was annoying and I'm like, I can't switch between these things or...
No, I mean,
So, yeah, I just kind of fell out of it. I don't remember how far I got in. I think I forget how many playable characters are. I think I got them all. At the very least, it was either the Wonder White with the slashes or Wonder Black. I forget which one's later. But I think I basically got all of them.
I think it's last because he's I feel like if you're gonna go like all in on this and like try to finish this game fully, it's gonna take you a minute. So yeah, so that's interesting. Like, so both of you had a negative opinion about it, and it's so I guess I'm the only one that like I think it's a flawed good game. I think it's really flawed. Just for the record, I don't really need to get into why. Like, it's an old game, but like what's really interesting about this, like, there's so much outpouring of excitement about it via the Kickstarter. It seems like a crazy successful Kickstarter. It just seems odd that like you guys had such, as well-versed gamers, you guys had like such negative reactions to it, or like a meh. I'd say Matt had a meh and Mike had a negative reaction to it, and I had a cautiously positive, but then there's this huge like bang funded, attitude toward it. You know what I mean? It just seems unexpected, like, almost.
I kind of want to. I wonder what's going to happen after the game launches, because I'm sure most of the people who are interested in this game are ones who didn't play it on Wii U because they didn't want to buy a Wii U, and so they just didn't get to play it. So I wonder if their tune is going to change after they play it. Like, sure, they can look at a game and be like, "Oh, that's cool," and then pick it up. I wonder if they're going to be just as interested, or be like, "You know what? I kind of understand why it didn't make too much traction, even considering the low sales of the Wii U in the first place."
Right. Think about it as go ahead.
I was just going to say it definitely has personality and stuff, but the game itself is another thing.
I was going to say it. Like, it's such a shame that it's a little broken, like, because it does have so much personality and it does so much right that it's like almost a good game. Like, and I said, like, I see it as a flawed game I enjoyed. So it's like, it's hard to call it good, because like the stuff Mike's complaining about is valid. Like the drawing mechanic was like using a Wiimote, Mike. If you want to compare it to some, hey,
whoa, Wiimote using is actually good. I just played like
but a lot of people disagree. Like, a lot of people think Wiimote is busted, that you got to keep syncing it all the time, and you got to like.
That's only Skyward Sword.
I mean, I don't know if I agree. Like, I feel like a lot of games that needed the Wiimote, you had to learn how to use the Wiimote. Basically, you had to play to the Wiimote in a lot of games, in my opinion, even as a fan. And like that's how wonderful 101 was. It was like you really had to like learn what it expected of you, like. And I'm trying to remember actually now. I said before about the stylus, but I think I played the majority of the game. I learned there's a way you can control the drawing with the twin sticks, so you didn't have to use the stylus. I can't even remember about the stylus in my head now. And that's how I played. And you just had to learn how to do it. But yes, it was broken. But you had to once you figured it out, you could do it. Because I finished the game, and I think I got like a silver finish or whatever, the way platinum grade stuff or whatever. So I didn't do terrible at it. And it's got like a great comic booky ending with like lots of like twists and turns and all kinds of platinum-y like cutscene type stuff, toward the end of the game. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, Matt, like I'm curious to see what the crowd reaction is, or if there's new scores for this game, or if they fix the mechanics in some way with all this millions of dollars they're hauling in, like that they can.
I can't wait for everyone to get tricked, dude. That's gonna be my favorite part. That's gonna make my day. Everyone's gonna be like, "What the hell did we do?" It's gonna be like Ukulele 2.0,
Gosh. Well, yeah. The interesting thing about this is usually Kickstarter games are like, here's a game, it'll come out a year from now, and even then, it's gonna take longer because we severely underestimated this, or just flat out weren't all that honest about how long this takes.
That may or may not be good.
Obviously, this is support, so it's a lot different. But that being said, still, it's like they announced it within the last week, and it's coming out in April. So it's like, I wonder if this failed, if they probably were just going to release like the Switch version, because that's the first tier on this, as far as like meeting their goal. So I wonder if it failed, if they were just like, well, we're going to release it because we already have X amount of money. And how much of that, like, how much did they actually fix? Because I don't know when they obviously started developing this.
Like, yeah, you've been speculating about that in the chat, and like, I think it's obvious they were planning to do this, and as I posited in our off podcast chat, I feel like they're clearly gauging for the part of this. Let's see if there's interest. Like, if we don't get enough money, well, we just cancel Kickstarter. Big deal. We'll think of this game enough. Will we hit any of our benchmarks? And then it went crazy. So they were like, hey, we're definitely doing it now. It only took 1 day to find out. Like, we're definitely doing this.
Yeah.
So, I don't mean like, hey, if you're gonna kill any of us, then Platinum style that may or may not be good.
Find out that it was like medium, okay good, or medium okay bad, or whatever it is. It's like, it's certainly not the worst game on earth. I don't think any of us would say that. It just wasn't. It's probably not.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say that, and I hate it. I played some terrible games. So.
I mean, it tricked you enough. It tricked you enough to play it for a while,
Yeah, a whole hour. I want that hour back.
That's more than you give some games, So,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, it's like, hey, like, I'm not like Mike, who thought I was going to buy it, and like I said to clarify, I doubt I'll buy it. I played a lot of it, on Wii U. Like,
well, you beat it.
I beat it. I mean, it's a long game.
Yeah, I have much respect, Clay. I don't know how you did it. But...
It's. Hey, I like Platinum games for what they are. You get that hankering for that kind of thing. Mike doesn't ever. Like, he's allergic, but like the rest of us do. It's like, hey, the really flashy pizzazz of a Platinum game. I really can get into it. It's a lot like Bayonetta or something like that for people who have played it in terms of the scoring. It's got that high level of achievement ceiling where it's like you can finish it and get like bronze or lower, like on every level, and just get through the game, or you can like get hooked on it. And it's got all that combo kind of mentality of like learning to do it better and faster with more combos and get the bronze, the silver, the gold, and the platinum like scores, And I definitely got hooked into it because of that, because you can get better at it even with the technical issues we were mentioning. I mean, I'm just wondering, like, are they going to release it in terms of the drawing on the screen thing? Are they going to release this as like optimized for like handheld mode for Switch, or are they expecting you to like use the Joy-Con?
I think they're gonna do
I don't think so.
They're gonna use the right stick.
Yeah,
because it was already in like the Wii U, so I think they're just gonna not bother with the touchscreen. Because I don't think many games actually use the touchscreen in handheld mode because they don't have an option to do that in full screen. I think the only game I can think of is like Voez or other music rhythm games, and that's about it.
Severed is the one that's really famous. Like Severed has the, that version of it. But whatever, it's I like you said, it's not a ton that are like very heavily focused on touchscreen at all. It's not a big feature. I think people have gotten their fill of touchscreen playing with their darn phones all day. So
Well, plus with the Wii U, you could draw and look at the TV, so it wouldn't actually cover your view. Versus the Switch, it only has one. You can only look at the one screen, so probably wouldn't help.
No, I mean, like that said, I mean, we can wrap on the 101 and wait for the reviews to come out when it does drop in a month or two and see what's happening with it. I mean, but I'd say for people that are listening, like watching videos and see if it looks like it's something for you, because like you can hear we're divided, like between the three of us on like where we fell on the spectrum for like this game, and like it should be another point of note is that like for the people that remember Beautiful Joe, it is like 100% like the spiritual successor to Beautiful Joe. Like you can read up on it, but there's like all kinds of connections in the plot and the development and the team behind it. So that's part of the concept of the game. You're doing a little bit of that rewind, freeze time, and deploy some crazy moves kind of thing, like bullet time, cartoony bullet time stuff or whatever. So take a look at videos. I mean, decide for yourself, because I don't know. I really hope that they fix it in a way that makes it a little more playable, because I think it's a game that's like so close to being good, like a true or almost like great, but it is a little flawed, There we go. That's my thoughts. Or be like Mike and be like, this game sucks. I'm throwing it against the wall, and
because I can't draw circles.
I don't like drawing circles, so I'm out.
Dude, I drew a full face, erased it in perfect character details, okay? And then the game's like, Matt, Clay, there's no way you haven't seen that. I'm pretty sure that's season 2. But I digress. That game stinks. I hope it does bad. I'd rather them go back to Capcom and make a Beautiful Joe 3. All right, rather than go back to a game that everyone's going to realize is bad. All right? Beautiful Joe. Oh no, never mind. I was gonna say, Beautiful Joe was wasn't he in MVC3? So
I think so.
Been in a game more recent than W101, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Well, at least we're getting Okami too.
Oh boy, another game I dislike.
Oh really? I thought you would like that.
Well, nah. Like I played it on the Wii, so maybe that's why it was terrible. It's a PS2 game mainly, right?
Yeah, that's where it first started.
Yeah,
but
that could be. It could be why I could have played the shittier Wii version. So
I
got bored of it.
It's another drawing game.
Yeah, I was like, oh gosh, like, I don't know. People were like, this game is just like Zelda, and I'm like playing it. And I'm like, I could like. By the time I got out of I don't even think I left the first time before I took 3 naps. All right, it's just like very slow, but I did say I would give that game one more chance because everybody does praise it. So
I feel that way about Okami too. I got it because the same thing. Everyone's like Zelda, like I got it.
It's because it was launched around, for people who don't know, launched around Twilight Princess did for the Wii, and both had wolves. So that's where most of the drawing where it came from. I mean, they're like similar games-ish, but not really.
They are similar. I mean, they are. That wolf mechanic is similar. So, I mean, but we're talking about Okami, just in case anyone listening. I know, like, when I listen to podcasts, I can't stand it when they switch between games too quick, and I don't know what they're talking about. But Okami is what we're referencing now. Yeah, I got bored of it, too, and I sold it after not too long of owning it for Wii, that I was like, this isn't grabbing me. It was the same as Twilight Princess for me, in fact. It was just like, maybe I just don't like games where a wolf character is the center of attention. I don't know.
No, I hate that, because that's like what. No knock on you. It's more of like, I always hate how people will be like, well, this is very similar, so like this, and it's usually like that dumbass majority that'll say this, and then like that becomes like the set opinion for it. And it's like, no, not at all. Like, I bet the people who said that are the people who like didn't even finish like any Zelda game ever. You know, just like, well, in the beginning, I walked around in a town and I got an item. So it's just like Zelda. What the hell are you talking about? You know, like you can't trust anybody.
I mean, it is in its basic high level premise, ignoring the wolf. It is a Zelda like. I mean, it's like wander around a village, find an item, talk to a villager, go to a temple or a dungeon or whatever. You know, I mean, it is a Zelda like. It doesn't mean that's bad, and it doesn't mean it's like Zelda to me. But like, I played enough of it to like, yeah, this is like another kind of Zelda with the drawing mechanic, you know. And I was like, I don't know. But I didn't play enough of it. I wouldn't judge it too hard. I know everyone loved it, or it's very highly reviewed by a lot of people.
I guess I'm the only one switching back. I guess I'm the only one that liked the game.
Yeah. Did you?
But
play a lot
I
of
didn't. So I didn't actually finish it. So what happened was, I remember so much because it was literally the first game I rented when I worked at a video rental store. Like the day I started working at like the end of my shift, I'm like, hey, I know I'm not in the system yet, but can I rent a game? And I eventually like got what I thought was the end, because I think the main villain is Orochi. It's like a dragon guy. Anyway, I beat him. He's like in a like boiling pots or whatever. I'm like, oh cool, I beat the game. That was pretty good. And then it's like, you gotta get like the 5 other gems or things or whatever. I'm like, oh, thought I was done. And I looked up, I'm like, I went to a walkthrough, I'm like, how far am I? It's like, you're halfway through. I'm like, oh, all right. And I just like never went back to it again. Not because I didn't like it, but I was just like, oh, I severely underestimated how long this game was. And like, I think I had to return it around that time too. So I just like never went back to it, because I always remembered it in the back of my mind, like, I'm only halfway through this. Like, going back to a game like you have finished like later isn't really appealing. So it's just one of those where it's like, I put myself in a lock where it's like, well, you went too far to restart it because it would feel like a waste, but you also went halfway through, and then you'd have to like replay it. And also, how good is it going to feel to play a game that you like half beat? So I just never went back to it.
No, I know that feeling well. I'm trying to do better about that feeling of like the quitting and not getting back to a game experience, because it just isn't.
That's why I only like playing a game like one at a time, because I don't want to play something and then get in the groove and then like get out of it and then go back and like try to figure it out, or like miss a whole lot of the lore or whatever.
Right.
Sometimes I have to step away from a game though. I'll just get stuck, dude, and I'll be like, oh, I'm stuck. Fall asleep, and they're like, oh man, yesterday's Michael was so stupid. That was the answer. But I get what you're saying. Like, you're saying like, I mean, like, or like you're. Yeah,
I mean, like playing another game in between.
That's an interesting thing, because I used to be like that, and because of my retro habit getting bigger and bigger the older I got, which is inevitable because there's more retro the older you get. It's a funny thing you'll notice later, but like, I've actually gone the other direction in my current life. I try not to like play more than one game on a console at a time, but I have every Nintendo system ever set up in my house, plus the handhelds, plus a couple other more lesser popular systems from really old days like Odyssey and Atari and stuff like that. And so like, if I was to only play one game at a time, like for like you guys are kind of hinting at, I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but like I'd be playing Symphony of the Night exclusively and ignoring all these other games I have in other consoles. So I kind of am more like, I try to be like one game per console at a time. And then like I kind of flip between them. It's like, all right, well, I'm feeling more like some crappy Atari game tonight, you know, and like mess around with that, and then like play some NES, you know, and now I'm feeling Super NES, you know, and skip around. That kind of keeps it fresher for me, because like I don't think I have the personality. I definitely don't have the personality of Mike, where he'll like grind a game all weekend and like finish it. I kind of tend to resent a game if I do that. I kind of get so sick of it, I don't like it anymore. And I know I've seen you do that, Matt, too. You're like, well, I just want to get it done because something else is coming out soon. And like, I think I'd rather just give up on a game or walk away from it than I would get to that feeling where it's like work, or something
Yeah.
to get through it. And that's how, and maybe that's not how it is for you guys, but that's how it would become for me. I'd be like, I don't like this Castlevania game anymore now because it just feels like a grind. Like I'm just done, you know. I don't know.
I just can't do that. I feel like it's a sin if I let
I wouldn't
just leave a game like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't rush through a game to beat another one. It was just like there were a bunch of games coming out at one time, so it was just like the feeling of it was kind of crappy. Like, oh man, I want to play all these games, but there's too much. Which is why I only got to Borderlands like 6 months later because I was just playing other stuff. So I mean, I took my time with it. I don't want to like actually rush through it. It was just like, oh man, all this crap is dumped at once.
I mean, you know what I think about a lot, and this is a little bit of a sidetrack, but it's related to what we're saying. And this is going to be new for all of us. But I mean, even you guys are getting up in the years now where you can reflect on all your years of gaming a little bit more. And it's like, think about the way you treat Netflix or Hulu or whatever. You don't treat everything on there as sacred, like where you have to finish it. You kind of treat stuff like, if it sucks, I'm turning it off because there's like 900 other things on there that might be good. And I have a strong suspicion the kids below our ages, that's how they're going to see games. Like, and it's not necessarily, it's not a good thing. Like, I don't necessarily think that's a good, but like, I wonder if we're going to be relics like that with the attitude of Mike being like, you know, I got to finish it. You know, that's sacrilege, you know, and Matt, you're definitely devoted to finishing things. Like, I've heard you definitely admit when you finish a game you didn't even like that much. You're just like, well, I didn't love it, but it's what I was playing, so I did another 10 hours to get the end.
Well, I mean, you know, you got to think about the other aspect. Like, you spent your money on it, you know, kind of thing. And, you know, that shit sucks because it's not like a game is, you know, $15 like indie games. Indie games take 2 seconds. That's another reason why I hate them. But, you know, it is the price for it. I am paying, you know, $10, $15 or whatever. So I don't expect the full game. But I can see what you're saying. I mean, look at it now. They already have it with Microsoft and they have it with PlayStation. With the
Stadia.
Yeah, Stadia and all that other stuff. The Xbox. What is the
Game
Xbox
Pass?
called? I have that one. Yeah, that's it. And I mean, I really like the Game Pass. I mean, I was able to try a few games, but I have it for like 3 games that I still play and or finished. You know, I did it for Sunset Overdrive. I did it for I did it for Halo, and I did it for something else. But overall, I was like, okay, I was able to try this game, which is nice. I was able to demo full retail games that have no demos, but games that I want to finish and I buy, I'm gonna go. I go out all out in because you know I bought my time and I'm like, all right, I'm committed to this. I'm gonna play it through, and you know, and I feel as someone who gives opinions on games, like it's not cool to be like, oh, this game sucks. So you know, well, what do you know about it? Well, you know, after I lost to the first boss, I threw it off. Like that's like me if I would say all 11 Mega Man sucked because I couldn't beat Crash Man in Mega Man 3 or you know whoever the first boss is for other people. Like that's bullshit. You can't judge a game based off that.
Well,
but yeah, not everybody's like us either.
Agreed. No, I completely agreed. I just wonder. Go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, no, that's okay. I was going to say, you're saying, you know, with all these services where people can get games in bundles and people are just, you wonder if people are just going to have basically taste tests of several games, which is par for the course when you have a service that just overloads you with content. It's like there's so much that your better option is to just play bits and pieces because then you'll find out what's good and then figure out what's worth sticking with. But this isn't even actually new. Back when the 360 came out and then the PS3 eventually got it, when they had achievements and trophies, what they would do was with each chapter they would have like an achievement or a trophy, so you could actually track developers and you and your friends could track how far in the game you got, which is a neat and crafty way of figuring out what people are playing and what they aren't.
Absolutely.
But they figured out that most people don't even like beat the games that they were playing, and this is before like all these services, like a decade or 15 years ago, or I don't remember when the 360 came out, probably mid 2000s. Well, I guess that is 10 or 15 years ago, but yeah.
And now we pay Nintendo for the privilege to have their download service and like that they do this to us, like that they're tracking us like through the online service for like probably every game, like because they already let you see that they're tracking how long you play the game, And if you foolishly think they're not tracking all kinds of other metrics about you, you're crazy. It's just like, no, they are. Like they're looking at exactly like what you're saying, like which games and how much time do people spend on it. I mean, 1,000,000,000%. Yeah. I mean, it's probably in your end user agreement that you never read that you clicked yes on. That it's like we have the right to like spy on you, like and look at what you like. Like that's what gets really crazy because like what if like Smash Brothers characters like were decided based on that like they're watching like what characters get played the most and they're like
that's bullshit. They don't watch at all. Guess what? Luigi's Mansion outsold 3 houses. I'm just saying.
Touch the nerve with Mike. No, I'm not even saying that. But like, what if they analyze the data? Like, characters with a reflect and a sword are the best characters. Like, people like those characters the best. Like, so you know what they're getting more of. They like nobody's playing as Wario anymore, so they're not getting any classic Nintendo characters. Nobody liked that.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's just like, well, it looks like people don't want Wario because
Yeah. Like, I mean, because, that if it wasn't Nintendo, I'd just automatically assume that's what they are doing. With Nintendo, I'm like, no, there's probably a little more artistry to it, but, that kind of thing is real.
Well, even I'm just looking at some statistics of some of the bigger PS4 games, first party and third party, and the highest I've seen so far is like 50% of people who've like beat the game. Sorry, percentages of people who played the game. The highest so far, it's only like a dozen, so it's not really that much, to be fair. Right. And some of them are RPGs, which, like, no duh, people aren't going to finish those because they're so long. But some of them, like, the highest ones I've seen so far are God of War and Spider-Man, which are around like 50%.
Yeah.
Which are fairly long games, to be fair, but it's like Spider-Man, I think, is like the best-selling game on PS4 or something nuts. It at least has 10 million sold. So it's one of, if not the best-selling. And even that only has like 50% of people beating it.
Right. That's insane. But I mean, it's just, that's mind-blowing. That would be such an interesting thing for somebody to collate that data across all platforms, like of like user engagement to the end of a game. Like, but it's so hard to even define that. It's like each game would have to be tracking some end state, like to clarify it. Like because different games have different end states. Like and how much is really finishing a game these days. Too many games, it's not even very clear what that constitutes. Like.
Well, I mean, like the main campaign.
Yeah, but I mean, like that's so. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. It's like I'm like, oh god, it's like impossible to even like gauge that anymore. Is like a huge stressor for me. It's like, did I really finish it? If I only got like 50% of things, and like, did I really even get the campaign? Does that count? Like I didn't even like more than like a 50% of a main campaign. Does that count? But Mike would be like, no, you're a weak ass schlub.
I see what you're saying, because if you start mixing in like how much people play side quests, and if they like only play half the campaign but they do the other half in side quests, it's like, does that count as them not beating it or beating it because they put in the same amount of time?
You never beat Ganon, but you put 200 hours into finding Korok turds. Like, did you?
Whoa, why would you even bring that game up?
Because there are people that put in hundreds of hours, like searching for Korok seeds, and who knows? Maybe they just got hooked on that and then quit the game because they got bored, like because they played it too much doing the nonsense side quests, like or Xenoblade or any game like that. It's you can just side quest your life away. That's true fact. I've played Skyrim on Switch about 110 hours. I think the last time I looked, maybe not, maybe like 70. I forget whatever. A whole lot. Played a lot of hours. I've never finished the campaign because I got bored of it before I did. Like, because all that game is endless side quests that you're like getting involved in. And I was like, it's a pretty good game, but it got kind of repetitive, and I just didn't care about the story. So I keep meaning to go back and play it some more, but I don't even remember what the story is. I'm like, I don't really care. It's like it's Skyrim. You're wandering around, you're doing stuff. It's like.
I guess a more interesting statistic would be hours put in, but I don't know if. They don't share that in terms of like trophies that you can visibly see. It's just certain checkpoints, but that would be an interesting statistic because I'm sure they have it. It's just not public.
It sounds like the kind of thing like somebody in grad school for game design should do their thesis on and get back to us. So whoever out there is like out there, we want that data. We want you to report it to us first so we can have a big breaking news flash on the program here. News flash. Most gamers don't finish games these days. Surprise. Yeah. Anyway, interesting. Nice side topic there. What other than 101, what else is in the news this week? I haven't been seeing a ton of news. You had a few bullet points you wanted us to talk about.
I think I might only pick like one more just because we've been recording for so long. This is just a quick note, I think, worth bringing up. The art director from Battlefield 5 is joining Retro Studios, and I only think that's noteworthy because for once it seems like someone of high profile status is going to Retro Studios and not leaving it, because like the last several years all I've seen is just people leaving. I mean, I'm sure we don't know the full extent because not everyone's gonna report on it, but
on 3 and it's that massive a project that they have to shuffle in new guys. They didn't want anybody to know. They have to keep getting new creators for it. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. Let's say, that's the only way to not spoil it. Just gotta get new people. Just like Metroid Prime 4, dude.
Yeah, man. I wonder if they just scrapped whatever they were working on before, because there's no way they weren't developing at least another 2 games in that time. I guess we'll never know. Yeah. We'll have to break in Reggie's house and steal that one art and see that robot character.
I never follow this kind of stuff with like who's leaving, who's coming. These studios, it's like it always feels like I don't follow the news that closely to have any data on it. To me, it's like only when like the super most famous people like leave or go, that I even hear about it. It's like that kind of stuff rolls right off me. I'm like, someone smarter than me who pays more attention to me has to tell me what it means. That's always my reaction. I'm like, oh, cool, whatever. Like Nintendo's hiring someone who does 3D modeling with like blah blah blah. I'm like, just tell me what game that means they're working on. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's like too much for me to get into when this isn't my daytime job.
Yeah.
Does it mean Pikmin 4 is almost finished or is just vaporware? Like, what is the deal?
Yeah. And then this is probably going to be it. But Furukawa said that despite all these supposed rumors, there's not going to be a new Switch model in 2020. So, yeah, I guess no Switch Pro unless he's lying. I don't remember the exact wording he used. Well, the thing was, I know it sounds dumb. This is probably not going to happen unless.
He's definitely lying. He's all like,
I like that too. Your disclaimer though. Like you're like, so this is some news unless he's just making it up. Like, let's just put that at the beginning of our podcast for everything we say. Like possibly good news unless it's a lie.
Oh my gosh. Well, I bring that up only because I don't remember the exact wording he used, but something happened with Iwata where someone asked him like, "Oh, are you making like a new 3DS model or like an XL or whatever the heck it was?" And his wording was something along the lines of like, "I have nothing to announce now," or something that was like,
right.
It didn't totally strike it down, but left some little bit of window.
Right.
But he was basically like, "No, maybe." And then like 2 weeks later, like they announced the new model. It's like, okay, so you were basically lying or saving face.
Long story short is they can change their mind anytime. It doesn't even matter. They don't even have to cover their tracks. They could just be like, but we were messing around with this technology and discovered that we can do this, and it's like, hey, look at that, I can't say I'm disappointed because you guys were giving me a little bit of heck and a little bit of worry when I bought the revised Switch model a few months ago, where I went, where I had reported to the podcast, so you can get a good trade-in value at GameStop for your original Switch and then get your hardware refreshed. So I went ahead and did it and spent the $150 to get a fully refreshed new model with a better battery life, which I agree wasn't the greatest deal ever, but you guys had definitely thrown a wrench in the plans when on the show you guys were like, next year, they're probably just going to come out with the new Switch. And I'm like, you're probably right. And I would definitely want that more. then I would want like only half-assed resolved, one that like I'm getting right now. So I'm all about this news because I'm like, I want a full Switch, but I don't want it 1 year after I just refreshed.
Yeah.
Definitely selfish, but yeah. I mean, and I'll be honest, I can't tell the difference that much with my new one, but I haven't taken any really long trips where I really get to push the battery life hard yet. So all I really know is I got the newer Switch with the red and the blue Joy-Cons that I always wanted instead of the standard gray ones that I was supposed to get at launch.
Nice.
So
just to clarify, I'm looking back at the quote. He says some other stuff before, but the main point is, please note that we have no plans to launch a new Nintendo Switch model during 2020. So that seems a lot more definitive than I couldn't find Iwata's original quote with the 3DS, but it was something like there was I forget the phrase. There's a possibility, there was an open window where it could be interpreted differently, but here it's like no, it's like a straight no. So no, it is then.
Right. Yeah, I find it interesting that they had to address it. But
it was during their briefing or whatever.
Right.
Something that makes sense.
Yeah, like briefing. I mean, that makes it seem more legit, like that it's truer because it's not like a press release type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't we just get news or some didn't they somehow address the public that they said, where did I see this? I guess this is the question we're asking, that they just formally said they expect the Switch to have a longer hardware life cycle than your average console.
Yeah, I remember reading that somewhere.
I remember seeing it in the last week or two, and those two things go hand in hand. Because I mean, they're saying this year, no new Switch. By the way, Switch is also going to go longer than you might expect, so feel free to go get one. And that leaves the third caveat there that's like, in the future, good chance we'll make a new one. You know what I mean?
Oh, probably.
Maybe 2021, then, opportunity to get some more money out of this and like release like a, because 3DS did it really late in the 3DS life cycle same way. Like too late, arguably. Like it was dumb. It was like they didn't have enough time to make good games for it. And the adoption rate was going to naturally be lower too, because it was like so late in the hardware life cycle that it was like, who's really doing that?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, buying the Super 3DS or whatever the heck it was called. But yeah, like, I don't know. So yeah, for me, it's like, yeah, please give it another year. I'll use the heck out of the Switch and I'll do another trade-in, spend a little bit more money. Sure, toss Nintendo a little bit more money. Love them anyway, and get myself an even better Switch for the back half of the console life cycle and have a fresher one going into the sunset of the system. Like, well, I have the like newest hardware and like longest life, hopefully longest life for my hardware overall. Yeah.
And the Lite also just came out in September. So, I mean,
exactly.
They probably would want to space it out anyway.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, you don't want to like confuse the market. Like, wait, I mean, famously, everybody always says that's what killed Sega. Like, and Nintendo is not immune to that. Like, that's what Sega. That is such a common story in gaming. It's almost not even worth repeating at this point. But it's like that Sega just lost their way and were panicking, and there was all the like problems between like Sega of Japan and Sega of America not communicating well, and they had like 3 hardware revisions on the market at the same time, I think, for like the 32X and the Sega and the CD and like the base console, and people were like, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't even know what to buy anymore. I don't want any of this. This all looks like weird and I'm not sure what's good. So yeah, you don't want to oversaturate it. You want to space it out. So yeah, cool stuff. I'm glad to hear it. No new Switch.
Oh well.
Against everything every other time.
Yeah. All right, so I think that'll wrap it up for this week. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and go to Source Gaming's channel because I release weekly videos where I read Sakurai's articles. So if you don't feel like reading, that's most of the internet, including myself. So go listen to my voice. And Mike, where can people find you?
What's up, guys? You could find me at SMB Gaming 64 or Game Men on YouTube. I think what's up besides I did a little Star Fox thing with all the games, as I said last podcast. But if not, you guys can watch all Sonic Colors done S rank 100%. That's what's coming out right now. So, or my Ninja run for speed runs. There.
Oh.
Nice. And Mike, sorry, Unoclay, where can people find you?
You can find Mike at Gaming on the internet. Gaming.
Did you say Gaming or Gaming?
You know what I'm saying, big boy. Just open up a browser and type in Gaming. You can see me occasionally using my Twitter these days at Unoclay_Switch. That's it. You can find me on this show talking about games once in a while. It's slowly dying and getting older second by second, as you just heard in my example of what it sounds like to die.
Jeez. And on that morbid end...
Clay, I gotta tell you something before Matt ends it. No.
Go. Alright, so wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on every platform on the internet, unless Unoclay dies. Hit us up with your questions, or me if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle, or me at the Manga Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.